Hi everyone, more Russophobia on British state media, the BBC. This time on Frankie Boyle's show, New World Order, which airs on Friday. I was quite critical of the show a few weeks ago because they decided to do a segment about anti-Semitism or supposed anti-Semitism in the Labour Party in the week that hundreds of Palestinians in Gaza were massacred by the Israelis and the IDF snipers. On Friday, the Russophobia entered the fray on the show. Now, to be fair to Frankie, he wasn't the main perpetrator on this. And to be fair to the show, it's meant to be a comedy show, so they are obviously trying to be comedians about it. However, I always think the best comedy is based in truth. That's why it's funny, because truth is stranger than fiction. Anyway, the first segment that comes up is Democracies Hate Voters. Let's have a listen to how he introduces the segment.
Hello.
Hiya.
There's a lot of this in the air, isn't there? There's talk of, like, were elections fixed by Putin? Was Brexit hacked by the Russians? And then with, you know, the votes in the Lords and the lack of a parliamentary vote for Brexit this week, there's a lot of talk of, you know, to what extent is Britain a democracy as well?
Democracy works based on choices, but if you're making choices with so much disinformation, you know, we've just got so much in our heads that we don't know what's true, and so it's like being drunk.
The disinformation thing, it's not an accident. I think it's it's a really, really intentional performance that's going on. And it does come originally from Russia, for the most part, or at least the people who are really, really good at disinformation are kind of the figures around Putin, who we talk a lot about Putin's KGB background, but we talk much less about the fact he's surrounded himself at the Kremlin with a lot of failed theatre directors. Literally, you've got, like, oligarchs...
The worst people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and one of them is a guy called Surkov, who is basically the sort of Peter Mandelson, shadowy right-hand man of Putin, and he is a failed theatre director, and he has kind of been an architect of the performance of democracy, which is something we're seeing quite a lot of in America here now, which is the idea that, you know, we host an election, but it's sort of a play of an election, and then we're all going to choose to suspend our disbelief, basically. And it comes from this theatre director idea. He's also the mastermind of disinformation, the idea that basically confuse everybody massively so they don't know what's going on and then they just give up out of despair, which is how a lot of theatre works.
Okay, so Frankie brings up, you know, several things there, several points. They could have gone down any route, but they went down the Russia route, so, you know, whatever. The first lady there you heard speak was Roisin Connerty. Now, I'm going to try and be fair to Roisin. I'm going to try and be fair here and not be attacker. There's a show in the UK called Countdown. I've actually been on it, believe it or not, years and years ago. There's the proof. I actually won 2 episodes. I know. Intelligent and good looking. What a catch. Makes up for my bad teeth almost. But anyway, they do a crossover of Countdown in the UK with a comedy programme. They call it 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown. And Roisin Connerty is on it a lot. Now, this programme is about mathematics and it's about anagrams and English. And I think it's fair to say anybody who's seen her on that show will know that she's not exactly the sharpest tool in the toolbox. However, she's a very successful comedian. She's had her own TV shows and she's hardworking, so all fair to her. I'm not attacking Roisin Connerty at all. But the point I'm trying to make is, I know it's a comedy show, but inviting Roisin Connerty onto a show to talk about politics is sort of like asking me to go and judge the synchronized swimming at the Olympics. Now, I'm sure I'm going to have a great time and enjoy myself, but I wouldn't have a bloody clue what was going on, and that's... But then she comes out and she makes a good point. She makes a really good point there. Then the next person to speak was Lucy Pinder, who apparently is also a comedian, although I can't for the life of me see why. Okay, just try and cut through this propaganda, because this is propaganda, is what it is. Putin has, the guy she mentioned there he's an advisor of Putin, but it's not like he's the Andrew Lloyd Webber of Russia that Putin handpicked to come and create the theatre around his government. No, this guy has a military history going back to the Hungarian regime back in the mid-80s, I think, and he's been not just had a really good military career, but he's also had a great career in politics as well. It's not like they just picked up this, director from somewhere or director of theatre. It's not like that at all. So what she's talking there, quite frankly, to use an English term, is complete bollocks. And it's not the last time she talks complete bollocks in this segment. Let's carry on watching.
Well, there's also this case, though, isn't there, that we do all this stuff. So we've got GCHQ, we've got massive intelligence services. America complaining about its elections being hacked. I mean, almost American foreign policy, to some extent, is to influence other people's elections. And, so the idea of them criticising Russia for meddling in elections is a bit like, Ant McPartlin criticising your parallel parking or something. Obviously, Russia do this, but, don't all countries do this to some extent?
Bingo. Frankie nails it. Absolutely nails it. This has been my argument all along. Even if what you're saying is true, that Russia hacked the election and Trump is in Putin's pocket, it's just rubbish. It really is. There's no evidence at all for it. And one of these days, I'm just going to do a video just to dispel this Russia rubbish, but it'll take about 3 hours to do it. There's so much crap surrounding it. But he nails it there. It's, hello pot, my name's Kettle. You're black. America meddle in so many elections. I did some research for this video, believe it or not. The people on that panel obviously don't. But I did some research for this, and this is how many instances I found of America meddling and messing about in other countries' elections. 57 instances since World War II I found. That's just what I found. There's obviously going to be more that haven't been uncovered yet. So I thought this is going to be interesting to see how they react to that. Now, listen to what they say, but pay attention to the silence here. I haven't edited that at all. I've just literally just cut the action after Frankie stopped speaking. There's a long silence before somebody says something. Just listen to what they say in response to Frankie's excellent point.
Putin's got a secret wife.
What?
Long silence. Putin's got a secret wife. Frankie makes next. I'm sure they're paid comedians. I'm sure they can come up with some joke about that off the top of their heads. I'm sure they can. But long silence. Nobody can think of anything. Putin's got a secret wife. Of course, because there's no defending it. There's no defending that. That's why I bring it up every single time people talk about Russia meddling in the election. Even if they did, look at what you do. But Putin's got a secret wife wasn't the only thing that they said in response to that.
I mean, never trust a man with a secret wife. I mean, it's like...
He also has a poodle as well, by the way. But he hides it because the Kremlin have told him that it doesn't look manly.
It's unreal, isn't it? Yeah, but we meddle in other people's elections all the time. America have done it 57 times since World War II. Yeah, but Putin's got a poodle and he's got a secret wife. Oh, dear me. I did some research for this. This is what I found. This is his poodle. This is a picture of him with the poodle. The poodle's name is Tosya. And as this article in Pravda says, Tosya is Lyudmila Putin's little poodle. Lyudmila, I assume, is Putin's wife. I don't know for sure. It could be his daughters, I suppose. But yeah, it's his wife's or his daughters. Now, if you looked at that picture and you thought, hold on a minute, that looks a bit old. You're right. It is old. Putin hasn't got a head of hair like that anymore. He hasn't for quite some time. And this is the article in Pravda where I got the information from. Look at the date. 25th of February 2005. 2005. So that dog had to be, 5 or 6 years old by then. That dog is so dead right now, it's unreal. So even them saying he's got a secret poodle, that's not right. He had one, or his wife had one. Who's spreading the propaganda now? Is this Russian propaganda? Is this Russian disinformation? Or is it British disinformation on Britain's state-run media, the BBC? I think you'll agree with me in saying it's the latter. But it carries on, this train wreck of a segment does.
Many people believe that democracy is under threat from foreign interference. Russia specifically has been accused of meddling with the American elections and helping Trump's campaign. Here's Putin resolutely denying any involvement in US politics during an intense public exchange with Megyn Kelly.
What the experts say is that this couldn't have been faked, that it's not one factor, that it's 100 factors that point to Russia. They say it's the forensics, it's the digital fingerprints, it's the IP addresses, the malware, the encryption keys, the specific pieces of code, that all of them point to Russia, and none of them points to anyone other than Russia.
Какие отпечатки пальцев? Отпечатки копыт, скажите, рогов, чьи эти отпечатки? Значит, IP-адреса, их можно вообще придумать. Знаете, сколько много специалистов? Они сделают так, что это с вашего адреса, с домашнего. Дети ваши послали, младший ваш ребенок 3-летнего возраста. А проблема не в нас. Проблема внутри американской политики. Вот в чем проблема. Команда Трампа оказалась более эффективной в ходе избирательной кампании. Я и сам иногда думаю, ну, перебирает мужик, честное слово. Это правда. Но оказалось, что он был прав, а мы хорошие. Это вообще мне антисемитизм напоминает. Во всем евреи виноваты, понимаете? Сам придурок так ничего сделать не может, евреи виноваты. Но мы знаем, что к чему приводят такие настроения. Ничем хорошим они не заканчиваются.
Okay, so my response to that would be, well, actually, he's got a point there. He's got a really good point. I used to be an internet marketer, as I've said on this channel many times, and I used to deal with IP addresses. And you can do that. You really can. I mean, I was never at the level where I could do it untraceable or totally untraceable to the FBI or CIA, but there are people out there who can. They can make it look like, as he says, it come from your home, that your kid do it. You can make it look like that. You have to route it through several IPs and VPSs and that sort of thing. I used to have a VPS, a virtual private server. Actually, I used to have 2, because I used to have many, many bot accounts on Facebook when I was internet marketing. You can do this. And what the reporter there is saying, experts say. What experts are they, Megyn? Which experts? You mean the experts at the FBI and the CIA and the NSA, the same people who lied to get us into Iraq, who lied about weapons of mass destruction, the same people who have lied constantly to us, the same people whose CIA directors go in front of the Senate under oath and lie twice. These experts. That would be my argument. I'm sure you can make a joke about that. I'm not a comedian. But I tell you this, what Putin did there was funnier, I thought, than anything Lucy Pinder said in this show. That's for sure. Hooves. Brilliant point. Bringing up the Jews and anti-Semitism, it's the same as that. Brilliant point. You can't prove anything, but hey, they're the bad guys. It's a really good point he brings up. And you can see it's something that he's pissed off about. And the audience is right to laugh. It's right to laugh at it's preposterous what Megyn Kelly is saying to him there. It really is preposterous. So it's going to be interesting to see what this panel responds to after seeing that clip.
It's a very clever thing he does there, which is she gives him a digital fingerprint, which is a tangible thing that you can measure. And then he does that thing, which is talking to a room full of, like, bloated 60-year-old oligarchs going, like, oh, fingerprints. Like, it's a fact.
I'm not sure, because I don't watch that and feel that he's gaslighting. I think there's something else going on, and I think the laughter is a really interesting thing.
Really
you see it with Trump as well.
Yeah.
There's a Russian word called styob, and it's the idea that what you do is you sort of pretend to be something that everyone knows that you're not. And it's a really, really really big sort of humour in Russia. And and basically it's this idea that you all know that I don't really mean what I'm saying. We all understand that. We're all part of a gang, that it's part of a game that understands that I did murder that person.
Yeah.
And that actually it's become this really global, cynical performance. I think they're laughing because they know he's lying, and he knows they know he's lying, and we're all in a gang.
You know, I had to watch that back about 3 or 4 times to make sure I understood what she was saying there. She's saying that the way we know he's lying is because they know that he knows that he knows that they know that they know that he knows, and they're all in on the joke. They all know that Putin did it and they're all in on it. Ay, ay, ay. And she's serious. That's not her trying to be funny. She's serious. I hope it's not her trying to be funny. If so, she's an absolutely terrible comedian. There's a theory called Occam's razor. I'm sure you've heard of it, especially if you watch Scrubs like I did. The theory goes thus. If you're trying to figure out what the cause is of something, or who did something, and you don't know who did it, and you're trying to theorize as to what happened, the simplest explanation that makes the least assumptions is most likely to be true. Which of these two things is most likely to be true? A, well, when it comes to that segment, they knew that he knew that he knew that they knew that the dog knew that the next door neighbour knew, and they're all in on it, and they all know that Putin did it, and that's why they're finding it funny. Or they all know that Putin didn't do it. They all know that it's hypocritical of the Americans to even make a big deal out of it when they've meddled about in what was it, 57 elections since World War II. And they actually found what Putin was saying quite funny there, because I know I did. What fingerprints? What hooves? It's a joke. It really is. It drives me mad, and the reason why the BBC drives me mad especially, and the reason why I concentrate so much on the BBC, is because they extort money from the British public. That's all it is. It's extortion. We have to pay the BBC licence in the UK, for those in America. We have to pay it. To not pay the TV licence, you have to ring them up, and you have to say specifically, I don't watch live television, and I don't watch iPlayer on the BBC website. I don't watch either of those two things. And you have to inform them of that every 2 years. And I've done it, and most of the time you inform them and they still send you bills. It's akin to, this is my theory on it, it's akin to Rupert Murdoch saying to every household in the UK, you have to pay your TV license, you have to pay for Sky TV. To every household, Rupert Murdoch saying you have to pay for Sky TV even if you haven't got a satellite dish and you don't watch it. And the only way to not pay it is to inform us of that. Otherwise, we're going to send you more fines and eventually throw you in jail. It's extortion. And also, it's extortion of the poorest people in the country as well. You know, the people who go to court for not paying the TV licence, it's not the rich. It's the poor people who are living on the breadline that can't afford it. And what do? They give them a fine. Often it's £400. It's extortion what they do. And the money they get from the TV licence, what they're meant to do with it, they're meant to do 3 things with it. They're meant to, A, hold the government accountable first and foremost. That's what they're meant to do. That's their primary objective. Not to be stenographers for power, which is what they've become. They're meant to entertain, and they're meant to entertain, and they're meant to inform, and they're meant to educate. Those 3 things. When it comes to entertainment, they do a great job, especially with the sports coverage, you know, the World Cup, that sort of thing. I watch it at the pub all the time. They do a great job. With regards to education, they don't do a bad job at that either. Their science and nature programs are absolutely wonderful with Brian Cox and David Attenborough. But with regards to informing, like I say, they're stenographers for the powerful. It drives me mad, it really does, because I know that people at home are watching stuff like that and they're swallowing everything these people are saying. They're swallowing what these comedians... It's a comedy show. Even comedy shows are propagandizing the public now. It's not just Newsnight. It's not just the news. It's the bloody comedy shows. Russia are not the ones spreading propaganda in the UK. Russia are not the ones spreading propaganda in the US. When it comes to the UK, the people who are propagandizing the public, the people who are spreading disinformation in the UK, it's not the Russians. It's the state-run media, the BBC. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, please subscribe and please click the bell down there so you get a notification of when I drop further videos. Otherwise, YouTube will hide the video from you. Yes, they have admitted that they do that. Also, we're facing an absolute onslaught in independent media from the establishment at the moment, including YouTube. I don't make any money from YouTube whatsoever. I rely totally on the audience for me to continue doing this. So if you can afford to send me $2, $3, $5, whatever it is that you can afford through Patreon, again, the link is down there, I will be eternally grateful, and it'll allow me to keep giving you the truth and cut through the propaganda and the BS that we get from the corporate and establishment media. If you can't afford to do it, please share the video as wide as you can. Talk to your friends and family about the issues that I and other channels on YouTube who are independent raise. Thanks very much for your support. We have to fight back against this. Till next time, peace and take care.